The sun is shining, spring has sprung, and it's finally the day every garden lover in the country has been waiting for.
Yes, and just beyond these trees, there are inspirational gardens, spectacular flowers, and thousands of ideas to turn your home and garden into a slice of paradise.
Absolutely. So, what are we waiting for? Let's get out there and welcome to the RHS Chelsea Flower Show 2022. Let's start by taking a little tour of this enormous showground. Here on Main Avenue are the large show gardens, 13 in all, showcasing the creations of superstar designers like Chris Beardshaw, Andy Sturgeon and Sarah Eberle.
The small but perfectly formed balcony and container gardens are here on the triangle.
Let's not forget the Great Pavilion, whose displays of immaculate flowers are the pinnacle of many a grower's career.
It's where you'll find the Discovery Zone and all the gorgeous displays from this year's floristry competition.
And for the first time ever, the Great Pavilion will be home to a brand new garden category called All About Plants that features the work of young first-time designers.
Royal Hospital Way is the home of some of the tranquil sanctuary gardens with plenty of inspiration to soothe the body and mind.
And finally, a swoop through Ranelagh Gardens reveals the whimsical and innovative houseplant studios with ideas you'll be desperate to steal. And here around the corner from the houseplant studios are more sanctuary gardens like this one. Smells gorgeous. The Kingston Moorwood The Space Within garden. I am delighted to be here with designer Michelle Brown. First of all, Michelle, congratulations. What an incredible space you have created. But tell us a little bit more about your whole idea behind it.
Thanks, Nikki. My first inspiration, really, from a recent trip to Italy is the beautiful sort of planting, the palm tree planting of the French Riviera. And I love this sort of style within where I come from, which is in Dorset, and mixing those two sort of styles together. And then within those gardens over there, they had lots of sort of small winding paths opening up into open spaces for you to rest, sit, pause, relax in.
Take in the day. I mean, Italy and France, renowned for their gardens, but this one is beautiful. But standing here and being able to sit around and enjoy it, this isn't just for children, because it does feel like a den to me. This is for, I'm presuming, the whole family?
Yeah, it's for the old family. It's probably for older members of, adolescent children. So it's a space either to socialise in the social den platform over here. So we've got this tent-like structure, which is still quite open, which is also lit up at night for evening use. And then behind me over here, we've got a more reflective sort of daybed area.
It is gorgeous. It does feel like we're enclosed. It's a little bit of a jungle with everything around, I'd just say. Absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous. But what about introducing wildlife into our gardens? Because you're very keen on that, aren't you?
Yeah, so what we've used throughout the garden, around the sanctuary walls, is actually a waste material that would have been scrapped. So we've used this Western red cedar timber, and we created that through the wall, and we've incorporated other branches, natural decay and woods. So it's not like a living wall, it's more like a dying wall, providing habitat, nurturing sanctuary for wildlife and insects.
So important. All little things that we can bring into our own gardens
Definitely,
as well.
yeah.
I've got to ask you, how are you feeling about tomorrow?
Really excited, actually.
Yeah?
It's this garden, I don't know what the medal's bit going to be, but I feel like I've really surpassed myself this time. I just think it's beautiful, and whatever the medal is, ideally it would be a gold. I'd love that, because it is a gold in my heart, and to everybody who's walked by.
Oh, well, it is beautiful. Enjoy tomorrow and enjoy the rest of the week. All your hard work has certainly paid off. We'll be keeping everything crossed. Now, today is press day at the Chelsea Flower Show, when celebrities and VIPs get an exclusive first look at this prestigious event. Angelica has been finding out what has been catching their eyes and why Chelsea is so special.
Today is press day here at Chelsea, and the atmosphere is electric. It's really exciting. And today you get to spot some familiar faces. So I'm on a mission. I'm going to track them down and see what they've got to say about the show. you enjoying yourself today?
Well, we really just arrived, so I'm very excited. You know, I was just saying to someone, one of the things when you work in TV and film is that you know, so much of what you do is about the aesthetics of things. And every time I see Chelsea Flower Show on TV, my first time here, I'm always enamoured by the sheer kind of visual creativity of it. And that's one of the things I'm looking forward to, is I just think there's so much, you know, imagination.
I like mowing because you get your bikini on. It's a good way to tan, mowing.
I've never.
Yeah, you get your
I've
bikini
never
on.
mowed my grass.
Yeah, it takes ages to mow a lawn. Just get on that.
I'm just trying to imagine you.
That's a visual for you.
Look, it means a lot to people, outdoor space, especially if you've got small outdoor space, the way that you can do things with it now, it's amazing really what they can achieve.
So, do you come to Chelsea often?
This is my first ever time. Yes, and we've got a new Blue Peter garden.
That's right.
It's like they hit the Marvel assemble button and we all get badged up.
Have I got moves? I may have a couple. There's nothing like a garden. One is so privileged. And of course, there are many ideas here for people who don't have a lot of space.
Yeah.
And so there's gardens for everyone here.
You're very inspiring.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
No, you are as well.
Me?
Yes.
Oh, well,
I've just been mesmerised by what you said for the last minute.
I'm very inspired by the dress, which is it was fantastic.
Do you like it?
Wonderful. It looks as if it's just bloomed.
Jeremy Irons says I bloomed.
Got that.
Summer flowering plants are a garden essential for colour, scent and for those all-important pollinators. There are hundreds of options to choose from here at Chelsea, and all this week Frances Tophill will be scouring the showground to bring us her favourite blooms.
Lovely deep colour purple. Now when it comes to growing alliums, all you need to do is give them a sunny and fairly well-drained position and they should come back year after year. When you bury the bulbs, make sure they're at least twice the depth of the bulb, and if it's a really big flower head, even deeper, just so it's really well anchored in the soil. Now squirrels do have a habit of digging up and eating our prized bulbs, but they seem not to be quite so keen on alliums. So if that's a problem for you in your garden, then these might just be your solution. And for something really different, how about this? This is called art, and look at that flower. It's so unusual, just incredible. And potentially even more striking is this. This is Allium sativum var Ophiosporodon, and it's looking even better just before it flowers than when it flowers. Look at those amazing curly stems. And this one's also edible, which shows there's a lot more to alliums than just their beauty. They have other uses too. This is incredible. If this is not a celebration of the onion family, I don't know what is. And the bees are all enjoying it too. They're a classic cut flower, and you have beautiful flower stems here, but also the dried seed heads. Look at them, they're beautiful. That looks like a purple sensation. The bulbs as well being a part of that cut flower display. Look, little garlic there. And then Schubertii dried and hung up there. It's just breathtaking. I love it.
There are an incredible 39 gardens at this year's show, all unique, but there are some distinct trends to be found in the designs. Here's Toby Buckland with his first impressions.
This year there are three quite distinct design trends here at Chelsea amongst the main show gardens. There are the little slices of much larger landscapes that transport us into nature. There are the town gardens that, yeah, they're small on space, but they're big on colour and ideas. And there are the gardens with a message or a story to tell that open our minds and challenge us about the world around us. Sarah Eberle's garden is a distillation of a much larger landscape. It takes its inspiration from the rugged North Cornish coast and the planting of Southern Ireland. There's a mix of exotics as well as, well, wildflowers or weeds. Buttercups play their part as well as primulas that run and bustle their way through the planting. The scale of Sarah's creation, I mean, it's just awe-inspiring. It's huge. There's even a craggy old Scots pine stuck on the top. This isn't just a postcard of another place. You see, I'm not sitting on rock at all. It's a cutting-edge new type of timber. So, as well as being a portal to another place, perhaps this garden is a glimpse of the future. This is the Sappho Garden by Amanda Waring, and it's a garden designed with lots of good ideas for making the most of a small space. For starters, all the features we'd recognise from our own plots, the paths, the patios, the borders, they're rectangles and they all fit together like a little tegular puzzle, and that means not a single inch of ground is wasted. At the centre, and this is a very good idea for limited space gardens, is a pond. Now that reflects light like a mirror, even into the darker corners. And not only that, just as you'd put a picture frame around a work of art, she has river birch on either side of the path. And this effect is amplified because of raised beds on either side of the border. Our final design is a conceptual garden by designer Jennifer Hirsch, and it has a powerful environmental message at its heart. Chapter 1 of the story is a burnout. It could be of an individual or an ecosystem. Chapter 2 is about time passing. Plants are starting to regenerate from the ground, and even the charred eucalyptus has got new growth breaking from the bark. In Chapter 3, well, it's a happy ending. The abundance, the good times are back, evidenced by the beautiful array of flowers from alliums, aquilegias and verbascum. And the story of this garden really just shows that even when there's trials and tribulations, nature can heal itself. And nature and time can heal us too.
Those are the trends, and over the course of the week, Toby's going to show us how to get those in our own gardens. Looking forward to that. Now, I am very excited to be joined by two artists who formed the soundtrack to my teens and early 20s, Martin and Shirley Kemp. Huge on the 80s pop scene, the couple met through mutual friend George Michael. 4 decades, 2 children and several homes and gardens later, here they are at the Chelsea Flower Show in search of garden inspiration. Well, welcome to the
Thank
two
you so
of you.
much.
Thank you.
It's
I'm in
always
heaven.
well, it's always such a pleasure to be here, isn't it?
It's a gift. I mean, I could be here all week, to be honest. I'd come back every day if I could.
It really is beautiful. And you know what I love this year is the wild planting, like here, where, you know, there's things that I would have pulled out of my garden only a few years ago are making gardens look beautiful now.
No such thing as weeds, just a plant in the wrong place.
That's right.
Absolutely.
There are gardens for everybody here, as we can see. But you two have really just recently taken on a massive project, haven't you?
Huge project. Well, we've bought a new house and it came with a gorgeous... I mean, I bought the house for the garden, I will be honest, because I just saw everything I could create there. And I love creating gardens. We're always outside. I mean, that's our space. That's what we do. We're outside working in the gardens. So yes, we're landscaping a whole area. We're creating meadows. I want rose arches. I've been everywhere. You know, I just need to ask so many questions today.
And this is a joint effort, but it's a real passion for you, Shirley, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I've been following you on social media, and you know, we're getting the whole picture, aren't we? But there's a lot of time and effort that goes into it.
So much, you know. Shirley says, I'd love that to happen, and I try and do it. That's how it usually works.
So it's a good combination together.
Yeah, good combination, yeah. Creativity and brawn. I mean, Martin's there with the wheelbarrow, the shovels.
But I have to say, Shirley's vision for things is outstanding, you know. Like recently, there was this old pig shed in the garden that I really wanted to knock down, you know, take it out completely, get the bulldozer around, but Shirley said, no, we're going to save it, we're going to turn it into something beautiful. And she does that.
And that's the whole joy of gardening, isn't it? Finding something.
Yeah.
It's creating
nourishing
magic.
It. Yes.
You know, if you want that magic, you've got to create it yourself. Don't be afraid to do it. And it's a lot easier than people think.
But what I love about the two of you is you actually do it yourselves.
Yes, yeah. I mean, we're normally in bed by 8.
Exhausted. Exhausted.
Our house smells of deep heat.
But there is
We're
nothing
aching,
better.
but...
There's nothing better than having a day out in the garden where you know, your whole concentration is about the plants and the land and the soil, rather than thinking about your diary of what you're doing next. It's just good for your mental health. It's good for everything.
So is. You put down that phone, don't you?
Yeah,
and
no
you get
phones,
involved.
yeah.
So has your style in gardening and your passion, has it changed over the years? I mean, who inspired you two when you were growing up?
As a little girl, my mum and dad didn't have a very nice garden, but our neighbour did, and I used to just wander into his garden because I just connect with it really strongly. I just feel happier around plants and flowers. So that's just what I'm connected. That's the natural state that I'm happiest. So for me, and Martin's dad was a great gardener.
Yeah.
Was he?
My dad, you know, listen, we had a postage stamp garden, really tiny, but my dad tried to make it as varied as he could.
Yeah.
Bless him. And listen, he made it nice. And I think I've got my love of gardening from him.
And I always remember everything cut back. That was his recommendation for anything. Cut it back, cut it back.
Good advice, especially at the moment, the Chelsea chop. So I bet you're itching to look
chop, I
yeah,
love that.
absolutely. But you're itching to look around the grounds, aren't
Well,
you?
we've had a
can't
peek
wait.
around,
Yeah.
and I'm really in heaven. This is such an honour to be here.
Oh, well, we have so many experts, so go and enjoy,
We will.
Thank
and we'll
you.
catch up with you in a little while and see how you
will.
get on.
Thank you, Nikki.
Thank
See
you
you later.
both.
Thanks a lot. See you later.
There's plenty more to come from the RHS Chelsea Flower Show, an event supported by the Newt in Somerset. Angelica gets a masterclass in making a celebratory floral wreath from top florist Hazel Gardner. And Mark Lane is here with a step-by-step guide to creating the perfect cottage garden-style border. Now, after the grey days of winter, it seems we're all craving a little bit of colour in our lives, and gardens, bold, joyous blooms are a big trend at the moment. So here's Carol Klein with the first of her brilliant guides to choosing colours for your garden.
What a beautiful garden, and what a glorious day. And you may well be wondering what on earth I'm doing with an umbrella on a day like this. Well, this is an umbrella maker's take on the colour wheel. And the colour wheel is a wonderful tool to be able to use if you're trying to decide what kind of colours to use in your garden. Basically, it's 6 different colours. 3 primary, red, blue and yellow, and 3 secondary, orange, green and purple. And understanding the colour wheel in very simple terms allows us to make deliberate choices about how we put our plants together and the moods we can create by doing so. On the colour circle, the 3 primary colours are opposite 3 secondary colours. So red is opposite green, blue is opposite orange, and yellow is opposite purple. And that colour combination has been used here with great artistry. These are all Asiatic candelabra primulas which bear their flowers in whorls. Primula bulliana is yellow, whereas this primula, Primula beesiana, is purple. And when the two are taken together, it enhances the opposite colour. But this isn't the only way of using purple and yellow together. And here a very different effect when the purple gets paler. This is a very straightforward plant. It's chives, and it's got these lovely round heads, repeated again, but on a much, much bigger scale by the allium, Globemaster at the back. Here, that contrast with the yellow is not so disconcerting, it's not so definite, but the whole thing taken together makes a really beautiful combination. And I love this tumbling cascade of woad in the background. Well, this has to be the perfect example of a complementary contrast. 2 colours opposite each other on the colour wheel that really sing. This is a very simple combination. It's just the green leaves of this tulip and then these big red flowers. It's called Red Proud, and no wonder. And because the green and the red are exactly the same tone, it really makes this combination zing. Put it in front of a green background and the picture's complete. Well, in the colour wheel, blue and orange are opposite one another. And this lovely planting here demonstrates just how perfectly they can work. The orange is provided by a gem. It's called Totally Tangerine. This is Geranium Roseanne, with blue edging on the violet, keeps flowering all summer long. And then in the background, Anchusa Loddon Royalist, with these rich ultramarine flowers, both of them the perfect complement to this pale orange. There are so many exciting ways of combining colours which are opposite to one another in the colour wheel. But tomorrow, we're going to find out all about how to create harmony in your garden, just using colour.
The Chelsea Flower Show is the home of gardening innovation, especially when it comes to finding new ways to cut waste and protect the planet. We sent Chris Bavin to check out some of the pioneering products on offer at this year's show, and also to reveal which has won the coveted title of RHS Sustainable Garden Product of the Year.
Do you know what? I love this award. We all want to garden more sustainably and responsibly, and these gadgets and inventions will help us do just that. Lynn, hello. Can you tell me about this wonderful product, please?
This is the Gardenia Aqua Bloom, and the reason this is so special is because it's to help you be more sustainable in your garden. So we're all about saving water. So the beauty of this is the rainwater is collected in a bucket, so you're not relying on the tap, and then the power from the sun, the solar power, is fed to suck up the water and water your garden.
So no electricity needed?
No.
No tap water?
No. Just a bit of sunshine.
Just a bit of sunshine, which we get, don't we, on and off?
Hopefully.
And it works for beds, pots, baskets.
Those difficult places that you can't normally reach with your hose, you know, balconies as well, all sorts of places. Just collect the rainwater, feed your garden.
If you get one of these installed, you don't even need your neighbours to come and water your plants while you're away.
You don't need to be nice to your neighbours anymore. They're still going to be watered.
That's fabulous. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Simon, hello.
Nice to meet you.
So look, beautiful furniture, but what is the element of sustainability to it?
So the two things about it. The first thing is that everything we make is made out of recycled aluminium. So it would have been an aluminium can or a bit of aeroplane or an alloy wheel from a car. It's melted down and then cast as you see it now. So this tabletop is one casting. But the most important part is that we guarantee to buy the furniture back from a customer if they've had it for 12 months, from then on for the next 10 years. And we will take it back to our factory, reprocess it and sell it to somebody else.
You cannot argue with the sustainability it is, and it's beautiful. Well done.
Thank you very much.
And the winner of this year's RHS Sustainable Garden Product of the Year award is Dobby's Garden Centre with their John Innes peat-free compost. It smells like compost, it looks like compost, it feels slightly lighter, maybe a bit grainier. Let's find out more. Marcus, hello.
Hi.
First of all, congratulations. How does it feel to win?
Thanks very much, Chris. It's been fantastic news. Yeah, a lot of hard work put into being able to develop this product range. Now we're 100% peat-free. We had to fix the John Innes mixes. It's always traditionally had the peat content in there. It's always been a soil-based compost. And yeah, we just needed to bring it into the 21st century.
And the feedback from gardeners using this product has been good?
It's been fantastic, yeah. It's been really, really good. We're really, really pleased. People really haven't noticed the difference, so that's really good news.
Amazing. So the gardeners are happy, the RHS are obviously happy, and Mother Nature must be very happy.
Yeah, we're ticking all the boxes.
Well done, brilliant. Well, look, congratulations again.
Thanks very
much.
much.
Well done. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Well, I'm joined now by Hazel Gardner, who does unbelievably cool things with flowers and can help all of us create wonderful floral creations at home. Hazel, it's great to talk to you. You have been very busy, haven't you? You've had an important role at this year's show.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
So me and my team, we made the RHS letter exhibit, which has just been so incredible. And I'm just so happy to get to this moment. It's just been amazing.
Well, it's a wonderful stand in the Great Pavilion, a lovely picture of you. So thank you for taking time to show us about these floral wreaths. They're incredible.
Thank you.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, so to make this at home, what you would need is your wreath base here. Then also you need your real wire, your floristry scissors, and obviously your flowers and foliage.
Yeah. Right, and which is the difficult part? Because knowing which flowers go with other things and foliage, how do you know?
So you just want to pick things that are really hardy in your foliage, and then it's always nice to get a mixture of flowers, something that's really delicate, and then something that's larger, so it keeps loads of depth. And then obviously at Christmas you can use holly, herbs. It's just great for all year round. You can just use anything that's in your garden and pop it wherever you want it.
So it could go with your door, your gate, your wall.
Exactly. Indoor, outdoor, wherever you want it to go.
Well, earlier today, Hazel gave us a step-by-step guide to create the perfect garland.
So your first stage is attaching your reel wire. Pop it through, just over an inch. And what you're going to do is just wrap it round, and then you've definitely got it secured. I always choose the foliage first. So then I'm going to start choosing my flowers. I'm going to choose a Lisianthus first, but then I'm going to add in the filler flower, which is the Astrantia. So now I'm going to choose my focal rose. It's beautiful. What you want to do is make sure they're all the same size, and you also don't need to leave loads of stems. So I've got my first bunch. I'm going to attach it nearer to the outside of the wreath. You've got your wire, and all you need to do is loop it over once, wrap it over twice, and then you're there. So now you've got your first bunch on. I'm going to go on and make my second one. I'm going to add in some of the Lisianthus and not the roses, because I just want to make sure there's lots of air and lightness in the wreath. Wreath making is a duplication process, which is actually beautiful because it's really mindful and relaxing. I didn't use the focal roses in that second posy, but now I'm going to add them in. So we're doing a staggered approach, and you just keep on building like that. And you're probably going to need about 10 more bunches to fill this. Don't forget about herbs. They will give loads of fragrance to your wreath as well, and you'll end up with just something lovely for your summer party.
Well, Hazel, you've just shown that it's much simpler than it looks.
It is. It's definitely not terrifying, and it's great for all ages. And you can just go in your garden, see what speaks to you, and just, you know, come up with something really individual to your taste, which I think is really lovely.
Yeah, make it personal.
Exactly.
You've got some finishing touches, which I'm loving.
Yes. So we were thinking, because the Jubilee's coming up, it'd be really nice to add ribbon. And I always do this anyway, especially on my Christmas wreaths. So all you need to do is add some wire in, and then pop it in. I like to go asymmetrical, nothing's too perfect. Add it in there, and it just adds that real finishing decorative touch and really elevates it, makes it look very professional.
Lovely. How do you preserve it and keep it alive?
So you can mist it, mist the front and the back. Make sure you don't put it near any like heat sources, so don't put it in direct sunlight, things like that.
Top tip, thank you. Now, we all love having beautiful plants and flowers, and the way to keep them looking gorgeous is to understand what makes them tick. And all week, James Wong is going to be uncovering the secrets behind the beauty.
For a single week in May each year, Chelsea becomes arguably the most botanically biodiverse spot on the planet. So if you want to look at the science behind the beauty of the botanical world, it is the place to come. But just like our own bodies, the very sunshine that they need to survive also damages them. So over millions of years, they've had to come up with mechanisms to cope with that paradox. Out of the hundreds of thousands of plants at the show, it's this single specimen that's just completely captured my imagination for its kind of crazy Muppet cool vibes. What it is a subspecies of Edelweiss from the very highest elevations of the Alps, where there is constant amounts of really intense UV light. And its solution to that problem is nanotechnology. So these kind of furry structures you see here are tiny filaments that branch out until they're millionths of a millimeter across. They're the same thickness as the wavelength of UV light. So you'll know that if you see a similar plant that looks like this, it's going to need lots and lots of sun and really well-drained conditions. There are loads of really beautiful silvery-leaved plants from all over the world. I particularly love these Salmesias from New Zealand and these cobweb sempervivums. And what they all have in common is a requirement for really high UV light and very, very good drainage. And what that means in a garden context is an area like a gravel garden, or a really sun-baked patio, or a spot next to a south-facing wall in a pot, for example. If you can spoil them with that prime horticultural real estate, they will shine out like this. Now, plants can't run away or hide from environmental threats like animals can. So they've developed this entirely cooler set of evolutionary strategies, including chemical defense, such as in the young foliage of Photinia plants. Now, these are dyed bright red by a group of pigments called anthocyanins. They do this through antioxidant action. If you're in the supermarket and there's a big crate of apples, the redder ones are almost always higher in antioxidants, particularly since the redder side is the side that's faced the outside of the tree and been exposed to more sunlight. If you're growing Photinia and you want it to be really intensely red, plant it in the fullest sun site you have. If you really love the look of red-tinged new growth but you don't have a sunny spot, Epimedium, Night Star and Pink Elf would be perfect options for you.
Oh, thank you, James. Now, the borders here at Chelsea are the envy of the world. Taking inspiration from these, Mark Lane is with us all week with his guide to recreating some of the border trends on show this year. Today, he's got the perfect recipe for creating a classic cottage garden border.
Getting your borders right can seem tricky, but actually it's about the combination of plants you choose and how you place them. Here is a perfect example of a soft, elegant, romantic cottage garden style border. Cottage garden design is based on principles rather than formulae. Now what we've got here is actually quite a rigid geometric pattern, which is very, very formal, but within it you've got this lovely billowiness of these wonderful cottage garden plants. Cottage gardens were around during the Elizabethan period, but it wasn't until the Victorian era that they really became prominent. It was plants people William Morris and Gertrude Jekyll who started to introduce more flowers into these idealised versions of cottage gardens. Originally, cottage gardens were working gardens. They were all about that mix of growing veg and growing herbs and fruit. But over the years, more flowers started to be introduced, so there was this transition period into this wonderful mixture of flowers, herbs, fruit and vegetables. The method of planting really closely together was all about keeping down the weeds and keeping in the moisture. But if there were any gaps, they were immediately filled with cabbages and herbs, as well as soft fruits. Here in this border, we've got those wonderful cottage garden plants, such as the rose, we've got Aquilegia, as well as the tall spires of Verbascum, and this wonderful blue from Anchusa. Around the edge, we've got the Nepeta. Then you can see the bees and the pollinators will absolutely love this. And of course, right in the centre, a really quintessential cottage garden plant, the iris. Creating your own cottage-style border couldn't be any more fun. Now what I've done, I've already pre-planted this little corner. Now what I'm going to put at the front on this side are a few more of these lovely geraniums. Pack them in, really pack them in. That cottage garden feel is about not trying to see any soil whatsoever. It's about putting as many plants as you possibly can in. So we put those in, put a bit more soil just around them. Now next to this, what I'm going for, we've got that lovely billowiness. I want to give a little bit of structure. Now this is Salvia Ostfriesland. Next to the other one. And the final one, probably there's a nice sort of trio. So that will create a really sort of nice big bulk of salvia right there in that centerpiece. Now, just for a little bit of balance, we've got this Solomon seal on this corner. I'm also going to put one over here. And again, against that geranium leaf, it's going to look really, really nice. And then finally, to give a really good height to the back of this border, I'm going to put in the Digitalis purpurea alba, the lovely white Digitalis. This one will go here, and then the other one will go back here. And what it does, you've got that lovely contrast between the purple and the white. So a wonderful cottage garden style border that you can create at home, and why not just give it a go? But I'll be back on Wednesday to show you how to create a naturalistic wild border.
Earlier, our guests Martin and Shirley Kempt shared their plans for revamping their new garden. Now, they were wrestling with a few thorny problems, so we sent them off to consult the experts.
Hey Ian.
Hi Ian.
Hello
How are
there.
you?
Absolutely beautiful here.
Bless you, thank you very
Heavenly.
much. Thank you very much.
I see you've got two different types of roses on your arches. We've got a few arches at home that
Yep.
we're going to, plant up. Is this the right way to do it?
If you've got a big enough arch, yes, no problem at all. Because when you have two different varieties, they'll flower at slightly different times. And with a bit of luck, you should be able to get flowers right the way from June almost to November. A good variety is the purple skyliner over there, and another one here. This one is called Bienvenue.
Oh, that's what you
This is my favourite.
Yeah.
Oh, a pink rose that smells of heaven. Gorgeous. Okay, question I have.
Yep.
Black spots.
Yep.
It fills me with fear.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Don't worry about it too much, because nowadays what's happening, we're all breeding better roses, but the most important thing is to keep them well watered and liquid fed during the summer months. If there's an odd bit of black spot on it, just take the leaf off. Don't get paranoid about it.
Yeah.
Enjoy the actual roses. They're getting better
You're
all
so
the time.
confident with the roses.
Oh, bless
I'm
you.
learning. That's what I need to be more confident.
I'm still learning myself,
Oh,
but
well,
yeah,
amazing.
I hope you enjoy it.
All right, we will.
Gorgeous.
We're going to go and have
Thank
a look
you,
at
yeah.
the wildflowers.
Okay, thank you very
Thank
much.
you, Ian.
Bye-bye.
Hi John. So we've just started a meadow in our garden, but it's new. So what I want to know is what can we add? What flowers? And because you've got so much colour here.
Well, you can get lots of seed mixes that have got a range of wildflowers, Linaria and Phalacia, and some of these little calendulas, and you've got clover as well coming through later on.
Would you plant the seeds in your meadow, or do you just scatter them?
I collect the seeds, I cut the grass. You've probably got an existing garden where you've got lots of grass. I collect the interesting plants, dry the seed out, and I either sow them in April or October.
So John, I know that there's this rule about no mow May. How does it go? No.
Well, it's no mow May.
No mow May. I absolutely love
that.
Listen, congratulations on the garden, because it's absolutely superb.
Thank you so much.
And do you mind if I just hang around for a bit longer?
Stay and enjoy it for the rest of the day.
It's beautiful.
Every day this week, we're opening up the Chelsea Clinic. This is a chance for you to ask our experts any gardening question you like. And today, we're starting with a very special guest, Frances Tophill. Welcome, Frances, to the hot seat.
Yeah, welcome.
You feeling confident?
We'll see what the questions bring up.
Should we start you off nicely? Susanna Hobart says she's just moved into a house. It's a new house. It's got 2 large wisteria in the garden. However, they haven't flowered this year, and their neighbours say they've never seen flowers on them. Why is it, and is there anything they can do to help the plants produce flowers next year?
It's a classic wisteria question. The advice is always to buy a wisteria when it's in full flower, so you know you're getting one that performs well. If you've inherited one and it doesn't flower, the classic thing to do is prune it twice, once in July or August, and then again in January, February. But sometimes that can actually halt them a bit. So if you really haven't had any flowers, just maybe let it go 1 year, see if that will give it some buds. But if not, the only thing to do is either wait until it matures, it can be 20 years, or chop it down and get yourself a new one in flower, so you know you're going to have a good one.
Ooh, good advice.
Good advice. Hope that helps, Susanna. Let's move on to John Shipley's question. He says, in a small garden, which is the best flowering plant to scramble up a shady fence?
It's tricky. Climbers tend to prefer the sun, but there are a few. So ivy, it may not be hugely popular, but it's great for pollinators. That's going to go really well in the shade. If you want flowers, then star jasmine, Chaclospermum, that's really good. Or hydrangea petiolaris, the climbing hydrangea, that's really beautiful.
I love hydrangeas, got them in my garden. Right, we've got a celeb question from Vicky McClure, of course, from Line of Duty. Take it away, Vicky.
Hi Frances, can you help me out with my lupins? I think it might be the slugs. Let me know.
Ooh, yes, slugs and lupins. Also hostas, delphiniums, echinaceas. They're really susceptible in the spring when they're just shooting, so protect them then. You can use garlic spray on the foliage, you can use copper or even things like sheep's wool around the shooting buds. But with lupins, they like the sun. So if you keep them in the sun, that should help them to flower. And also the slugs don't like the sun as much, so that will help get rid of the slugs and also get your lupins going a bit more.
Thank you.
Well, we've got a gardening conundrum from Annika Rice. Let's hear what she has to say.
Hi Frances, my house plants and plants in the garden are so happy on coffee grounds that I just pour over them after downing about 18 coffees a day. Anything else I should be recycling?
I can so relate to that. I do the same with my coffee grounds. It does seem to work really well. Straight from the kitchen, you probably don't want to stick anything else on the plants for fear of smells and maybe even rodents. But there are some really quick composts you can use, so things like bokashi, which is a very quick indoor method of composting. You get a wormery, composters that you spin and then you just get the liquid off them. So I would do that, compost your kitchen waste and then use it to feed the plants.
Great advice. Frances, we've run out of time, but thank you so, so much. Our Chelsea Clinic will be open all week, and tomorrow we'll be joined by Mark Lane. So get your horticultural questions to us on either the Gardener's World Facebook page or using the hashtag BBC Chelsea on Twitter.
Well, it's been a fabulous first day, but before we go, a little bird tells me that the RHS has just made you an ambassador.
Oh,
amazing.
Thank you so much. It is such an honour and a privilege, and I think I'm the perfect example of someone that isn't a horticultural expert like your good self, but passionate about gardening and what we can all do to make it a greener place. Absolutely, I love it, and I'm really excited about getting stuck into that role. But Before that, we've got the rest of the week at Chelsea to look forward to.
Indeed we have. We'll be back same time tomorrow when we'll be joined by Derry Girls star Siobhan McSweeney, Nun, Sister Michael. And of course, it's Medals Day and we can't wait to see how everyone gets on. You're going to be up early.
I know, very early indeed. Flat shoes, I think. Really excited about that. Don't miss Monty and Joe on BBC Two tonight at 8 p.m. for their first thoughts on the show.
But from us, it's goodbye, and we're going to see you tomorrow.
We will. Thank
you.
Bye-bye.